That will be $5,500 per month, Sarah announced, her manicured nails tapping against the oak desk that once belonged to our father. Starting next week. Her smile was all teeth, the kind that never reached her eyes. I sat across from her in what used to be Dad's office, now apparently her domain since his stroke 3 months ago. The same office where I'd spent countless weekends helping him with paperwork, learning the family business while she was out networking at country clubs. That's triple what I'm paying now, I said quietly, watching her perfectly composed face for any sign of shame. There wasn't any. Market rates, dear brother. She leaned back in Dad's leather chair, adjusting her designer blazer. Times are tough. We all need to contribute more to keep the family business afloat. Family business. I almost laughed. The same business I'd kept running while she jetted off to Paris for client meetings that somehow always coincided with Fashion Week. And if I can't pay? I asked, oh, I already knew her answer. Her smile widened. Then I'm afraid we'll have to lease your space to someone who can. I already have several interested parties. She slid a new contract across the desk. But your family, so I'm giving you first choice. Family. The word felt hollow coming from her lips, just like it had when she convinced Dad to make her CEO while I was away taking care of Mom during her final months. I see. I took the contract, pretending to read it carefully, and this decision is final. Absolutely. She checked her watch, a subtle hint that my time was up. Business is business, Jack. You understand. I did understand. Better than she knew. When do you need my answer? I asked, folding the contract and sliding it into my jacket pocket. End of day tomorrow. She was already turning to her computer, dismissing me. Don't make me chase you for it. I stood up, straightening my tie. Don't worry, Sarah. You'll have your answer. She didn't look up. Close the door on your way out. I did, but not before catching her triumphant smirk reflected in the window behind her desk. She thought she'd won. Just like she thought she'd won when she convinced Dad I wasn't executive material because I spent too much time with the actual employees instead of golfing with investors. Walking through the office building that had been our family's legacy for 3 generations, I nodded to Maria, who'd been our receptionist for 20 years. To Tom in accounting, who'd helped me learn the books when I was fresh out of college. To Jenny from HR, who still brought me coffee every morning just like she had for Dad. They all gave me sad, knowing looks. They'd seen Sarah's true colors long before I had. Back in my office, the same one I'd worked in for the past 8 years while Sarah claimed the corner suite, I sat down and opened my laptop. A few clicks brought up my email, and there it was, waiting in my inbox. Confirmation from First National Bank. Loan approved and processed. Funds transferred as requested. Below that, another email from my lawyer. Purchase complete. Documentation attached. I smiled, remembering Sarah's words. Business is business. Opening my phone, I scrolled through recent calls until I found the number I needed. It rang twice before a gruff voice answered. Mr. Martinez? Yes, this is Jack Wilson. About that audit you mentioned. I think it's time. I could almost hear him grinning through the phone. Been waiting for your call, Mr. Wilson. Your sister's creative accounting has been giving me headaches for months. How long will it take? Give me 48 hours. I've already got most of it documented. Perfect. I hung up and leaned back, looking at the family photos on my wall. Dad in front of the building on opening day, 1985. Mom cutting the ribbon when we opened the East Wing in 99. Me and Sarah at the company picnic back when she still smiled with her eyes. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Don't forget, contract signed by tomorrow or I start showing your office. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder labeled Wilson Properties LLC. Inside were bank statements, transfer records, and property deeds dating back 6 months, ever since I'd noticed money disappearing from the company accounts. Sarah thought she was clever, siphoning funds through shell companies, inflating expenses, pocketing the difference. She thought no one noticed when she took out a second mortgage on the building to fund her lifestyle. But I noticed. I always noticed. Just like I noticed when she started missing payments on that mortgage 3 months ago, right around the time she bought her new beach house. My phone rang again. The bank's number flashed on the screen. Mr. Wilson, this is Claire from First National. I'm calling to confirm the transfer of ownership. The building is officially yours. Thank you, Claire. And the other matter we discussed. Yes, sir. The default notice will be sent to Ms. Wilson tomorrow morning regarding the unpaid mortgage payments. As the new owner, you have the right to demand immediate repayment or begin eviction proceedings. Excellent. I hung up and checked my watch. 4:30 p.m. Sarah would be leaving soon for her weekly spa appointment. Right on cue, I heard the click of her heels passing my door, followed by her voice carrying down the hallway. Don't forget, Jack. Contract by tomorrow. I waited until I heard the elevator doors close before standing up. Walking to my window, I watched her climb into her Mercedes and drive away, probably already planning how to spend my increased rent money. Opening my briefcase, I pulled out several manila envelopes, each labeled with a different department head's name. Inside each one was a complete record of Sarah's financial manipulations, along with proof of who really owned the building now. I placed one on Maria's desk, one in Tom's mailbox, and one in Jenny's drawer. Then I walked back to my office and waited. Tomorrow would be interesting. At 7:30 a.m. the next morning, I was already at my desk when I heard Sarah's arrival, not the usual confident click of heels, but hurried, almost frantic footsteps. Jack, she burst into my office without knocking, her face flushed, designer suit slightly askew. In her trembling hands was the default notice from the bank. What is this? What did you do? I looked up calmly from my computer. Good morning, Sarah. Sleep well. Don't play games with me. She slammed the paper on my desk. The bank says I defaulted on the mortgage. They're demanding immediate repayment of $2.4 million. Ah, yes. I nodded. About that mortgage you took out without board approval, the one you used to buy your beach house while telling Dad the company needed cost-cutting measures. Her face paled. How did you? No. I opened my drawer and pulled out my folder. I know everything, Sarah. Every dollar you stole. Every account you falsified. Every lie you told Dad to push me aside. You can't prove anything, she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. I smiled. Actually, I can. Mr. Martinez from the IRS has been very helpful. He'll be here in about, I checked my watch, 30 minutes. She sank into the chair across from me, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. What do you want? Want? I leaned forward. I don't want anything, Sarah. I already have what I need. I pulled out another document and slid it across the desk. I own the building now. She snatched the paper, her hands shaking as she read. This is impossible. The board would never. The board doesn't own it anymore. I bought it personally, using the money I've been saving while you were busy spending yours on vacation homes and designer clothes. You can't do this to me. I'm the CEO. About that, I pressed the intercom button on my phone. Maria, could you send in the board members, please? The door opened and 5 stern-faced men and women filed in, each holding one of my manila envelopes. Ms. Wilson, the chairman spoke first, his voice cold. We need to discuss some irregularities in the company finances. Sarah's face went from pale to ashen. This is a mistake. Jack is trying to. The only mistake, I cut in, was thinking you could get away with it forever. Her eyes darted between me and the board members, looking for an ally and finding none. I'll fight this, she hissed. With what money? I asked quietly. Your accounts are frozen pending the IRS investigation. The beach house is being seized. And as for your office, I stood up, straightening my tie. I think $5,500 per month sounds fair. Market rates, after all. The look she gave me could have frozen hell. But for the first time in years, I saw something real in her eyes. Fear. The next few days were a hurricane of chaos. Exactly as I planned. Sarah tried everything. Threats, tears, even attempting to call Dad in his nursing home. But she burned too many bridges, destroyed too much trust. The board meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. sharp. I arrived early, watching from my office as Sarah made her last desperate rounds, clutching a leather portfolio filled with what I assumed were hastily fabricated explanations. You need to listen to me, I heard her pleading with Tom from accounting. Those numbers aren't what they seem. Tom just shook his head. The numbers are exactly what they seem, Ms. Wilson. That's the problem. She spent an hour in the conference room alone before the meeting, probably rehearsing her defense. But when the board members filed in, their faces were set in stone. They'd seen the evidence. They traced the money. There was no coming back from this. I took my seat quietly, not at the far end where Sarah had always insisted I sit, but near the chairman. She noticed her perfectly manicured nails digging into her portfolio. Before we begin, Sarah stood, her voice steady despite her pale complexion. I want to make it clear that these accusations are completely unfounded. My brother. Ms. Wilson, the chairman interrupted. Please sit down. This isn't a debate. This is a formal review of financial misconduct. For the next 2 hours, they laid it all out. Every fraudulent transaction, every falsified report, every dollar she'd stolen, painted in stark black and white on the projection screen. $2.4 million in unauthorized mortgage payments, the CFO read. Personal expenses charged to company accounts totaling $847,000. Falsified client contracts worth $1.2 million. With each revelation, Sarah seemed to shrink in her chair. Her designer suit, usually so pristine, looked wrinkled. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. Do you have anything to say in your defense? The chairman finally asked. Sarah straightened, summoning what was left of her dignity. Everything I did was for this company. The mortgage was necessary for expansion. The expenses were for client entertainment. Jack is twisting things. Jack, the chairman cut in, has provided complete documentation of your activities. The IRS has verified everything. The IRS? Her voice cracked. You involved the IRS? No, Sarah. I spoke for the first time. Your creative accounting involved the IRS. I just helped them connect the dots. She turned to me, and for a moment I saw the sister I used to know. The one who'd share ice cream with me after school, who'd help me with my math homework. But that sister was long gone, buried under years of greed and ambition. Why? She whispered. Why did you do this? Because you gave me no choice. You took everything. Dad's trust, Mom's legacy, my dignity. All I did was take it back. The chairman cleared his throat. Ms. Wilson, the board has reached a decision. You are hereby terminated from your position as CEO, effective immediately. Furthermore, we will be cooperating fully with the criminal investigation. Criminal? She shot to her feet. You can't be serious. Fraud over $1 million is a felony, Sarah, I said quietly. You know that. Dad taught us both the law. She grabbed her purse, her movements frantic. I need to call my lawyer. Your lawyer quit this morning, I informed her. Apparently, he doesn't want to be associated with this case. The security team was already waiting outside, 2 guards I'd known for years who had watched Sarah's transformation from dedicated daughter to corrupt executive. Ms. Wilson, one of them said gently, please come with us. We'll help you clear out your office. She walked out like a zombie, her high heels no longer clicking with confidence but dragging against the carpet. I watched from the conference room as they escorted her to Dad's old office, her office, and began boxing up her things. An hour later, she was gone. Her parking space empty, her name already removed from the door. It was like she'd never existed. But the aftermath was just beginning. My phone rang as I was reviewing the transition documents. Mr. Wilson, this is Detective Roberts from the Financial Crimes Unit. We need to schedule an interview about your sister's activities. I agreed to meet them the next morning. Then another call, this time from Dad's nursing home. Jack. His voice was stronger than I'd heard in months. The nurses told me something's happening at the company. What's going on with your sister? I took a deep breath. Dad, we need to talk. About everything. The truth wasn't easy for him to hear. Each revelation about Sarah's betrayal seemed to age him another year. But when I finished, he was silent for a long moment. I should have listened to you, he finally said. All those times you tried to show me the discrepancies. It's not your fault, Dad. She fooled everyone. Not everyone, he said quietly. Not you. That evening, as I sat in my office, my real office now, the corner suite with a view of the city, I found an old photo in the desk drawer. Sarah and me at my college graduation, both smiling, both believing in the future. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You'll regret this. Family is forever. I didn't bother responding. Sarah was right about one thing. Family is forever. But so are consequences. The next morning, the local business journal's headline read, Wilson Industries CEO ousted in fraud investigation. Sarah's corporate headshot stared back at me from the front page, her confident smile now seeming more like a smirk. Tom from accounting stopped by my office, carrying a stack of files. We found 3 more hidden accounts, he said. She was busy. I nodded, unsurprised. Send everything to Detective Roberts. Will do. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, Jack, the whole company knows you did the right thing. I picked up the photo from my desk, the real one, taken just last month. Dad in his wheelchair, me kneeling beside him, both of us smiling despite everything. Yeah, I said quietly. I know. 6 months later, I sat in the courthouse, watching as Sarah walked in wearing an outfit that probably cost less than her usual morning coffee. Her designer suits were gone, replaced by something that screamed trying to look humble for the judge. Her hair, once perfectly styled, was pulled back in a simple ponytail. The transformation was striking, but what hit me hardest was her eyes. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something between fear and resignation. She didn't look at me as she passed, though I saw her shoulders stiffen when she sensed my presence. All rise, the bailiff called. The Honorable Judge Matthews presiding. The proceedings were surprisingly quick. Sarah's new lawyer, not the high-powered attorney she'd originally hired, but a court-appointed defender, had negotiated a plea deal. The evidence was too overwhelming to fight. Ms. Wilson, Judge Matthews peered over his glasses. You stand accused of multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. Do you understand the charges? Yes, Your Honor. Her voice was barely above a whisper. And you understand that by pleading guilty, you waive your right to a trial? Yes, Your Honor. The judge shuffled some papers, then looked directly at her. Before I accept your plea, I want to note something. This wasn't just a crime against a company. This was a betrayal of family trust. Sometimes those wounds cut the deepest. Sarah's shoulders trembled slightly. For a moment, I thought she might break down, but she held herself together. The court accepts your guilty plea, the judge continued. Based on the plea agreement, you are sentenced to 4 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. You are also ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $4.7 million. The gavel struck, and just like that, it was over. As the bailiff led Sarah away, she finally turned and looked at me. Her lips moved, forming words I couldn't hear, but I could read them clearly. I'm sorry. Too little, too late. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with their cameras and microphones. I pushed past them, ignoring their questions about family drama and corporate scandal. I had somewhere more important to be. The nursing home was quiet when I arrived. Dad was in his usual spot by the window, but today he was sitting in a regular chair instead of his wheelchair. His physical therapy was paying off. How did it go? He asked as I sat down beside him. 4 years, plus restitution. He nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the garden outside. Your mother would be proud of you, not for punishing Sarah, but for protecting the company, for standing up for what's right. I know. I pulled out an envelope from my jacket. The board approved everything this morning. The company's yours again, Dad, whenever you're ready to come back. He smiled but shook his head. No, son, my time's past. The company needs new blood, new ideas. He turned to face me. It needs you. Me? The board voted unanimously. You're the new CEO, effective immediately. He reached over and squeezed my hand. Don't look so surprised. You've been running things anyway, ever since Sarah. Well, I did know. I've been working 18-hour days, rebuilding client trust, restructuring departments, cleaning up Sarah's mess. The employees had started coming to me naturally, bypassing the temporary management team the board had installed. There's something else, Dad said, pulling out a folded piece of paper from his robe pocket. I had my lawyer draw this up last week. I'm transferring my remaining shares to you, all of them. My throat tightened. Dad, you don't have to. Yes, I do. His voice was firm. I made a mistake trusting Sarah with a family legacy. I won't make that mistake again. That evening, I walked through the empty office building, past Sarah's old office, my office now, and into the small break room where family photos still hung on the wall. I took down the one of Sarah and me at my graduation, tucking it into my briefcase. Some memories weren't worth keeping on display. My phone buzzed. A text from the prison administrator. Ms. Wilson requests a visit. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges, once burned, shouldn't be rebuilt. Instead, I called Maria, our longtime receptionist. Could you come in early tomorrow? We need to update the company directory. Of course, Mr. Wilson. Any other changes besides removing Miss Sarah's name? I looked at the CEO nameplate on my desk, at Dad's old leather chair, at the view of the city he'd loved so much. Yes, I said. Add one line under the company name. Family owned and operated since 1985. Built on trust, running on integrity. Because that's what Sarah never understood. Success wasn't about power or money or corner offices. It was about trust, about integrity, about family, real family. As I left the building that night, I passed the security guard and remembered Sarah's last text. Family is forever. She was right about that. Family is forever. But so are consequences. And sometimes the hardest part of family isn't fighting for it. It's knowing when to let go. Dear Jack, I've written this letter 100 times in my head. Each version starts with "I'm sorry," but those words feel hollow now. How do you apologize for destroying everything you were supposed to protect? Prison gives you a lot of time to think, to remember. I remember when we were kids, how you'd always let me win at Monopoly. Ironic, isn't it? I ended up playing Monopoly with real money, real lives, and I lost everything. I heard about your engagement to Emma. The prison gets local newspapers, and there was a small announcement. She seems wonderful. I saw the photo of you two at the company's charity gala. You're smiling, really smiling, like you used to before I ruined everything. Dad visits sometimes. He doesn't say much about the company, but I can tell from his pride that you're doing well. Better than I ever did, even with all my fancy strategies and connections. Yesterday, my cellmate asked if I had any family. I started to say no, but then I realized I do. I have family. I just don't deserve them anymore. I don't expect forgiveness, Jack. I don't even expect you to finish reading this letter. But if you do, I want you to know one thing. You were always the better one. Not just the better business person or the better child, the better human being. Take care of Dad. Take care of the company. Take care of yourself. Your sister, if I still have the right to call myself that. Sarah. I folded the letter and slipped it into my desk drawer, next to the old graduation photo. Then I picked up my phone and made a call. Detective Roberts? Yes, this is Jack Wilson. Remember those 3 offshore accounts we couldn't trace? I'd like to close the investigation. The money's been recovered through other means. It wasn't forgiveness, not exactly. But maybe it was something close to closure. That evening, as I was leaving the office, I passed the wall of family photos. A new one hung there now, me and Emma at our engagement party, Dad beaming in his wheelchair beside us, the company logo proud in the background. Maria caught me looking at it. The new directory came in, she said, handing me a copy. Family owned and operated since 1985. Built on trust, running on integrity. I smiled. Perfect. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Dinner with Dad tonight. The nursing home said he's having a good day. On my way, I replied. As I drove to the nursing home, I thought about Sarah's letter, about family and forgiveness, about trust and consequences. The company was thriving, our clients were happy, and our employees felt secure. We had rebuilt everything Sarah tried to destroy, and we built it stronger. Dad was waiting in the garden when I arrived, Emma already sitting with him. They were looking at old photo albums, the real history of our family, not the polished version Sarah had tried to create. Jack, Dad called out, waving me over. Come look at this one. Remember that company picnic in '95? I sat down beside them, letting the warm evening air wash over us. In the distance, I could see the company building, its windows glowing against the sunset. Some things break beyond repair. Some trust, once shattered, can never be fully restored. But other things, the things that truly matter, can be rebuilt stronger than before. Sarah was right about one last thing. Family is forever. But sometimes forever means knowing when to let go, when to rebuild, and when to start a new chapter. And that's exactly what we did.